Okay, so this is lecture number 16 in finite volume series, and what we are discussing right now on the diffusion equation, or rather the discretized equation for the diffusion term. So, what we have done so far, just to give you a brief idea before we begin with the exact lecture for today, is that we have taken the diffusion equation for Cartesian orthogonal grid, then we have done the non-orthogonal system, and right now we are dealing with the non-orthogonal unstructured system. So, if you look at what we have obtained in the last class, is this is what we obtained and stopped for the unstructured grid system or the non-orthogonal unstructured grid system. So, this is the final discretized equation that we obtained, and if you look at this particular equation, it looks exactly similar to your orthogonal system or non-orthogonal, non-Cartesian orthogonal system. So, the equation system actually looks similar. So, that is what one of the advantage of this finite volume formulation, that you can have a similar kind of discretized equation. So, only one discretized equation like the one which is shown here, so that would work for. So, essentially whatever system you have, you end up getting AC phi c plus f goes over all the element neighboring element equals to BC. So, that is one equation that works for everybody. It works for my Cartesian orthogonal system, non-Cartesian orthogonal system, non-orthogonal unstructured system. So, for each of this system, the end discretized equation look exactly similar. Where it differs in calculation of these coefficients of AC, AF. Here F goes for neighbor elements. So, essentially the elements which are surrounded of that particular element C, where the discretization has been taken place or the discretization is being carried out, and the contribution from all these neighboring elements are going to come in the discretized system. This is the algebraic system which will finally lead to Ax equals to B. And while you compare all these different kind of system, you only get different coefficients. But once you come down to non-orthogonal system, there will be one more extra term which is very important term, is called the cross diffusion term. So, this contribution from this particular term goes in the source term. So, this is an added contribution which comes due to non-orthogonality, and that one has to take care while doing the non-orthogonal grid system or the unstructured system. And we have already seen that the surface vector, which is the surface normal vector, having two different component EF plus TF. That means one component provides you or gets you back the orthogonal contribution, other component due to the non-orthogonality. So, this is where all these system will differ from each other, and the contribution would show up in the calculation of the coefficient. So, this is where we stopped, and now what is important is that while dealing with the Cartesian system or the non-Cartesian orthogonal system, we have seen how to implement the boundary condition. Similarly, non-orthogonal unstructured system also will work out how to implement the boundary condition. And once you have worked out the boundary condition, because as I keep on reiterating the fact, this particular equation is valid for any interior element or cell. This is not valid anything which actually exists at the boundary or anything which is associated with the boundary face. So, for the boundary face or the boundary element, some special treatment is required, although the governing equation is going to be the same, or rather the discretized equation is going to be the same, only contribution due to boundary treatment they will turn up. So, being said that, we will now look at for this non-orthogonal system, non-orthogonal grid, we will look at the first type of boundary condition is the prescribed boundary condition or Dirichlet boundary condition. Okay. So, this is where you have given the phi. So, if you consider a surface like that, this is a surface like that or element like that, where it is center is C, it goes to this boundary which is B, and this vector is E, then you have a normal vector in this direction which is the direction of the surface vector, and this is the connecting distance, and this distance would be D C small b, and that is the boundary face. So, this is the element which we are interested in, and that is the centroid C, and this is the connecting line between the point B, and there is a surface vector which is acting here along this direction n. So, now we implement, but one thing one has to note here, even while you implement the Dirichlet boundary condition or Neumann condition, you need to account for the cross diffusion term. So, essentially important point is that need to account for cross diffusion term, okay, which is also arises at the boundary faces. Now, this happens whenever the surface vector which we are looking at here, they are not collinear along the connecting lines. So, cross diffusion term will appear. So, now the system which we are dealing with at the boundary is JB dot SB, which is gamma B del phi by B dot SB, which one can write minus gamma B del phi B dot EB plus TB. That means my surface vector at the boundary having two component EB plus TB, and if one has to look at it, this would be the direction of EB, and this is how it is going to be TB. So, that is the decomposed or the components of that. Now, if I write that, it is gamma B phi B minus phi C by D C B EB minus gamma B del phi B dot TB. So, which in terms of coefficients, it is flux CB phi C plus flux BB. Now, flux CB where is equal to gamma b dB. dB is, as we have defined so far, dB is the geometric diffusion coefficient, and this would be gamma b dB phi b minus gamma b del phi b dot dB, and our dB is nothing but EB divided by dCB. So, once you put these things back and the system, you get your, if you put these things back in this particular equation, you get back AF equals to flux FF, AC equals to small NBC flux CF plus flux CB, and BC equals to QC VC minus flux BB minus NBC flux BF. So, given a specified boundary value, one can get all these final coefficients. Now, once you get that, the second kind of boundary condition would be Neumann type of boundary condition. So, Neumann boundary condition, it is, thing is that in this particular case, this follows exactly like orthogonal grids. So, the Neumann case, one can follow the procedure in this case. So, flux is user specified. So, one can follow the procedure exactly that we have derived for orthogonal system. So, if you do that, just the extra term which is going to be added at the source term. Now, the third kind is the mixed boundary condition. Now, for mixed boundary condition, you have both specified value phi specified and flux also specified. So, both of them are specified. So, in this case also one can derive that boundary condition. So, once we do that, we use the similar kind of example like what we have drawn right now, that the element is there and you have that boundary face where you get the, this is E, B, this is where the SF and N, and here at this face, this is the boundary face, you have both phi specified and you have both flux specified. So, you can derive the system like JB dot SB, which is going to be now gamma B phi B minus phi c d c b E b minus gamma b del phi b dot T b. So, again your surface vector is having two component, one is E b, another is T b. So, this is essentially E b plus T b. So, that is what it shows up here, which is H infinity phi infinity minus phi b S b. Now, from here you get phi b, which is H infinity S b phi infinity plus gamma b E b divided by d c b phi c minus gamma b dot T b, and denominator you get H infinity S b plus gamma b divided by. So, that is what you get for phi b at the boundary. So, once you get that, you use this in this particular equation. So, now you put in back in that particular equation and you get now your J b dot S b is, so it will get slightly involved now, because you will have some cross diffusion term associated with this calculation, which was not present in the case of orthogonal system. But again the non-orthogonal system is more generic in the sense the special case of this is the orthogonal system. Now, you get H infinity S b gamma b del phi b dot T b divided by H plus gamma b E b divided by d c b. So, one can think about this is my coefficient of A b, and this one can write S b comma due to cross diffusion C d here essentially represent cross diffusion. So, I will represent this one is in more compact form, right, flux C b phi c flux V b, and if you equate the coefficients, you will get, by equating the coefficient between these two, you get flux C b equals to H infinity S b gamma b E b divided by d C b H infinity S b gamma b E b, and what you get for flux V b is minus flux C b phi infinity minus H infinity S b gamma b del phi b dot T b divided by so this is what you get for these coefficients. Now, the thing is that since this is for the non-orthogonal system, if the cross diffusion coefficient is 0, that means from here you can always get back the similar thing for orthogonal system, and that is a special case of non-orthogonal system where this particular term actually goes to 0. Then everything else look exactly similar for orthogonal system. Now, so the modified coefficients in the system of the discretized equation. So, the modified coefficient in discretized equation look like AF would be flux FF minus gamma F EF by dCF, and AC equals to flux CB plus F goes from all the faces flux CF, and BC, which is the source term, it will be QC BC minus flux BB minus C flux BF. So, that is what you get when you apply all the boundary condition. So, essentially what you get when you deal with all this orthogonal or non-orthogonal system, your equation, discretized equation looks same. Then when you come down to the boundary element, as per your boundary condition, so you use that boundary condition and get this modified coefficients as we have derived for all these cases individually. Whenever you have a specified phi value at the boundary phase, that means the Dirichlet boundary condition, you obtain the different coefficients. When you have the Neumann condition, that time the flux is specified, so you obtain the flux condition. Then when you have a mixed condition, you get the coefficients modified accordingly. And non-orthogonal system is more generic in the sense, because if you get this term of the cross diffusion term, which are the contribution due to TB, if they are 0, it essentially becomes orthogonal system. Now, there would be one important thing to discuss is that skewness. So, that is something which will be very important to discuss, because in your discretized equation you need to have, or it is very much necessary to estimate the value at the faces. Now, when you estimate the value at the faces, so essentially you estimate the value at face. Now, that could be of average value or it could be in different values. At different steps of the discretization process, linear variation of the variables are essentially assumed. So, that is most common, that which we have discussed, linear variation of the variable which are essentially assumed. Now, if this linear variation is extended for the other cases, then there are certain issues for specific cases. So, that time we can avoid this linear variation and come up with something else. So, the common practice is essentially is that you do a linear interpolation profile to estimate the phase value. So, that is the common practice. Now, when the grid is essentially, as long as you have no problem with the grid, there is no issues with this linear interpolation and you can get an very good estimate. But if there is a small skewness, for example, let us say you have an element like this, okay, and that is your connecting element. So, you have C here, you have F here, so they would be connected with this line. So, this is F prime, and there would be another point which is essentially going from there, which is F, and this is also connected, and the surface vector will act as SF. So, if you look at this particular element or the example which we have drawn right now, where the intersection point of segment of C and F, that intersection point is F prime, which does not coincide with the face centroid of that F. So, essentially this is my face, and the face center actually lies at this point F, and the connecting line between the centroid of C and the neighboring element F, they lie at F prime. So, they do not lie at the same location. So, there is a offset, or essentially this is the skewness. So, now in order to keep the accuracy, or in order to maintain the accuracy of the discretization method, so in order to do that, maintain that accuracy of the discretization method, so all phase integration need to take place at point F. So, essentially the integration needs to be taken place at point F. Okay. So, what happens, a correction for the interpolated value at F prime is needed in order to get the value at F. Why? Because the connecting line between C and F, they are not correlated, or they do not lie on the same point. F and F prime are essentially different point. So, the skewness correction can be derived. So, this is the skewness, and the skewness correction can be derived for phi f at point phi is that phi f prime plus delta phi f prime dot d f prime f. So, which essentially the distance of these two, between these 2 points f and f prime, and considering the value at f prime. So, this is a skewness corrections. So, and d f prime f is the vector from the intersection point f prime to the face center f. So, that is the correction that one has to do. So, with that correction one can interpolate the value at this point. So, this is very natural when you have some sort of a skewness or skewness in the grid, this kind of small skewness correction needs to be taken place. Now, moving ahead, we may look at one more important topic, is that anisotropic diffusion. So, we have done some discussion on this when we are looking at the variation of the diffusion coefficient gamma over space and cell to cell. When there is a variation, we have looked at it, but now we are looking at it in more details. So, what it happens is that if there is an anisotropy in the diffusion coefficient, our semi discretized equation. So, the semi discretized diffusion equation, that will look like now f equals to all these places minus gamma dot del phi f. Here one can think about this gamma is like an dot SF equal to SC BC. Here gamma is varying in space. So, what happens, this gamma here can be treated as, this is also a second order symmetric tensor, which will actually represent the anisotropic tensor. So, now if you assume a general, so assuming a general 3D situation, so which can be boils down to 2D and 1D. So, what one can write this left hand side, if you assume a general 3D situation, the left hand side which is essentially minus gamma dot del phi at phase f dot SF, which will be essentially looking like an tensor, which will be gamma 11, gamma 12, gamma 13, gamma 21, 22, 23, gamma 31, 32, 33 at F. Here you have del phi by del x, del phi by del y, del phi by del z, phi dot SF. So, the in a 3-dimensional system, generic 3-dimensional system, gamma is an tensor. So, the gamma would look like that. So, if you do the matrix calculation, what you get, minus gamma dot del phi at f dot SF equals to minus some gamma 11 del phi by del x plus gamma 12 del phi by del y, gamma 13 del phi by del z. Second row is gamma 21 del phi by del x, gamma 22 del phi by del y plus gamma 23 del phi by del z, 31 del phi by del x, 32 del phi by del y, 33 del phi by del z, and you have Sx, Sy, Sz at phase F. So, that is also the component of this surface vector SF. Now, if you do further manipulation, this would give me back del phi by del x, del phi by del y, del phi by del z at phase F into, write down that 11, 12, 13, 21, 22 gamma 23, 31, 32, 33 at F Sx, Sy, Sz at F, which further simplification can get me minus del phi F dot gamma transpose dot Sf, which is, one can think it is del phi Sf dot S prime F. So, if you substitute this particular expression in this particular equation, so now if you substitute that one there, what we get is summation of phases minus del phi F dot S prime F QC BC. So, this is what you get as semi discretized system. Now, one can expand this one and get the full discretized system from here. Now, one can simplify from here that gamma to, if you apply instead of tensor to be 1 and S F prime equal to S F. So, the same thing can be used for both isotropic discretization and anisotropic discretization. So, this is the special case for isotropic diffusion. So, again reiterating that fact, the beauty of this finite volume lies here. You see a generic expression for the diffusion which contains the anisotropy. Now, from anisotropy, if you just replace them with this coefficient, that will bring down the whole system to a isotropic diffusion system, and which is again a special case of anisotropy diffusion system. So, that again ends or closes the thing in that a fashion, such a fashion that if you have a generic equation derived for a generic system, like when we derive the discretized equation from non-orthogonal unstructured system, the special case is the orthogonal system. The cross diffusion goes away and we can get back the non-orthogonal system. Again, when you consider the diffusion, anisotropic diffusion, the isotropic diffusion is one special case, and one can always achieve things from there. Now, the part which actually would like to discuss is that now we got this discretized equation. For the solution, there are some iterative process which are involved, and there you need to do some sort of a relaxation, whether it could be under or it could be over, depending on the situation. And why that happens? That happens essentially your any genetic variable, that phi. So, the gamma, so the gamma is a function of phi, and also it can possibly happen that you have a non-orthogonal grid. So, if you have a non-orthogonal grid, which actually means you have a cross diffusion term, or rather large cross diffusion term or contribution. So, if you have a non-orthogonal grid, then you have a large cross diffusion term. So, if you have a large cross diffusion term, again it will have a large variation in phi. So, it actually getting towards a system where you have a non-orthogonal grid which actually leads to some sort of a large cross diffusion term. Large cross diffusion term lead to a large variation of phi. So, which means large source term and which may possibly, if you have a large source term, which can possibly the leads to some sort of a divergence. So, that means the code can be unstable and it can be a divergence. So, this is essentially related to your linear solver where it can be diverged, and why that happens? Primarily because of all this. If you have a very skewed or non-orthogonal grid which can lead to some sort of a cross diffusion term, cross diffusion term can lead to large variation of the variable across the cell, large variation lead to the source term or steep source term which can lead to the divergence of the solver, and that essentially one can think about due to non-linearity of coefficients and cross diffusion term. So, due to that primarily happens. So, what is the remedy? Remedy here is that since that happens and all these diffusion equations, they are kind of lead to a system where one has to solve the linear system. So, this becomes an pertinent issue or pertinent problem, though we will come back and discuss. This is a part of our discussion of linear solver. When we talk about the linear solver, we will do the discussion, but since some understanding of this kind of situation is required, we are doing the discussion, preliminary discussion here, so that you can appreciate what can happen in non-orthogonal system which leads to this large cross diffusion term and lead to this kind of situation. So, one has to do two things, mostly basically to, in order to promote convergence, one has to convergence as well as stabilize the solver. So, one has to do some sort of a under relaxation of variable. So, you need to slow down. So, which means essentially slow down the changes of variable phi. So, that means when you go from one step to another step and another to another step, so you slow down the variation or the changes, so that you move towards your final solution slower. It is not with 100% weight you update the solution and move from one step to another. So, this is called under relaxation, and that is very much required in order to have better convergence and also to have a stable system. So, once one can look at the general discretized equation which you have AC phi c plus f NBC AF phi f equals to BC. So, this is true for any system what we have discussed so far: orthogonal, non-orthogonal, non-orthogonal, unstructured, orthogonal, Cartesian, everything, non-Cartesian, orthogonal. This is a unique equation that works for everybody. Now, while doing this iterative process, one may do some sort of an algebra and can write from there phi c equals to, one can write like minus f goes over all this a f phi f plus b c divided by a c. So, let us define phi c star, which is value of phi c from previous iteration. Okay. So, phi c is added to or subtracted from the right hand side of this equation. So, phi c star I can add or subtract. So, let us see, I will do the addition, then I will have minus a f phi f plus b c, where f goes n b c a c minus phi c star. So, I have just done a from here to here, one hand I have added phi c, subtracted phi c. Now, if you look at this expression within the parenthesis, it is essentially represents the change in phi c produced by the current iteration. So, essentially the element or the value within this parenthesis, this shows the change in phi c produced by this current iteration. Now, one can write by introducing another extra variable called lambda, and I can write down this particular equation phi c equals to phi c star plus lambda, and I will write everything within this parenthesis like that, which is a f phi f plus b c divided by a c minus phi c star. Or one can do a c by lambda phi c plus summation of f goes to n b c a f phi f equals to b c plus 1 minus lambda into phi a c 1 minus a c lambda phi c. So, that is what it turns out. Now, here you get an expression which one has to look at it carefully. Now, when at convergence phi c is actually become phi c star when the system is converged. So, if you have converged, then they will become phi c equals to phi c star, and value of the relaxation factor, it will become actually independent of this relaxation factor lambda which is used. So, this you can see from this equation what. Now, another thing is that depending on the value of the lambda, one may have, if lambda lies between 1 to 0, this is called under relaxed, or if lambda is greater than 1, it is over relaxed. So, depending on the value of lambda, one can have a system which is either under relaxed or should be over relaxed. So, most of the time actually in normal CFD calculation or most of the CFD calculation, the under relaxation factor is used because that leads to a, but it is also not very generic that always you need to use under relaxation. It all depends on the particular equation or the physical problem that one is solving for. Now, that having said that, a value which is lambda close to 1 implies that you need very little under relaxation, okay, or close to 0 means you have heavily under relaxation. That means someone is talking lambda equals to 0.001, that means your system is heavily under relaxed, and someone is using lambda equals to 0.99, which is almost close to using very little under relaxation. Now, the optimum under relaxation factor is problem dependent, as I said, and is not essentially governed by any generic rule. So, which means, so lambda or the value of lambda value depends on problem and it is not governed by any general rule. So, the factor which affects lambda values include the type of problem solved, as I said, size of the equation system, that means number of grid point, degrees of freedom, grid spacing and all the other iterative procedure. So, all these are the issues which will be involved in choosing the value of lambda. Also, lambda is essentially assigned, or how one can choose this lambda value. It also depends on, to some extent, the depends on experience of user, because this is heavily dependent on your problem definition in your computational grid, degrees of freedom, grid spacing, iterative solver and all these things. Moreover, it is not very necessary to use the same under relaxation value throughout the computational domain. So, one can actually also vary a different value of under relaxation at different location in domain. So, that is also possible, and the lambda can also vary iteration to iteration. So, that means from one physical time step to another physical time step one can vary the lambda. So, to promote better convergence or stability, also different locations one can use different values of lambda in the domain. Now, this equation if we rewrite in a slightly different form, so my AC, which one can say AC by lambda, and the source term which is added as BC plus 1 minus lambda divided by lambda AC phi C star. Now, this particular method of under relaxation plays a very key role or important role in stabilizing the solution of non-linear problem. So, that means what we see here, that the different kind of lambda can be used, the lambda can be varied from iteration to iteration, and then once we use this kind of under relaxation, that actually whether depending on lambda though under relaxed or over relaxation, the system can be used in more stable fashion, the iterative solver can be converged or solution, the solution of iterative process can be improved or maybe can be made faster, number 1. Number 2, solution of the iterative process can be stable. So, the discretized equation or the governing equation, they do not get unstable, or the linear solver does not get unstable. So, it can be also solved stably. So, these are things which are essentially important when you talk about the solution of this iterative process, but this is just to give you an idea. When you have the discretized diffusion equation like this, and then what kind of iterative process one can use and what are the certain issues, but more detailed discussion will follow while we will be talking about very specifically on linear solver. So, now that brings down to the important discussion that what we have done while talking about the discretization of diffusion equation. What we have considered here? We have considered here the steady and with source. So, that is what we have done, and the way we have approached to that, first we have looked at a simplest system, that means first Cartesian orthogonal system. Then from there, while we are talking about the orthogonal system, Cartesian orthogonal system, we have talked about Dirichlet boundary condition, the implementation of Dirichlet boundary condition, Neumann boundary condition, mixed boundary condition, symmetry boundary condition. So, all we have done. Then the system we have taken is the non-Cartesian orthogonal. So, still the orthogonality is maintained. So, this is a one step improvement, and same thing we have repeated. We have looked at the implementation of boundary condition, because essentially from here the discretization process will actually give us back a discrete equation which is in a generic form. That means this gives us back the equation of AC phi c plus f NBC AF phi f equals to BC. That is the generic equation that we get. So, when you talk about the non-orthogonal, we have done that. Then finally, we got non-orthogonal unstructured. Here also we have done the detailed discussion of this implementation of the boundary condition. So, that is where things were. When we talk about the non-orthogonal system, we came across the important term cross diffusion term, which is a important contribution, then skewness, and then finally for this we have talked about the iterative solution process or the convergence and the stability of the process. And the non-orthogonal system is one which is essentially, if you go back in this direction, this is a generic case and the special case can be obtained in all these directions. So, non-orthogonal with a special correction can get you back the simplest on the orthogonal system. So, we will stop here and then the other discussion will follow up in the next lecture. Thank you.